Welcome to an episode of You Haven't Read What? I'm Krista.
And I'm Christina. Join us to explore unique genres, childhood favorites, and literary classics as we dive into each other's favorite reads.
Where one of us is very familiar with the book, the other is reading for the very first time. Let's go!
Hello!
Hello!
How are you?
Good.
That's good.
Keeping it together.
I know, right? I finished off Bob's desk, and now, it kind of sounds funky to me, but nobody else seems to think that it sounds funky for them. So we're going to roll with it. If it sounds funky to you guys, sorry.
Leave us a comment.
Yeah.
If the sound is weird.
Yeah, exactly.
There are gremlins in the wires now.
Oh, I know, right?
That's what happens when you unplug everything.
I know. We literally unplugged everything, changed out the desk. We built a huge new console for him, and it's pretty.
It's a sexy desk. I'm going to call a spade a spade.
Thanks.
That is a sexy desk
Yeah.
that you made. It is beautiful.
It is the color of edamame, which I'm not sure that it actually is. It's just called edamame.
That's amazing. I was thinking it's like army green.
Yeah, it's
that's what I
more
would call
army
it.
green, maybe a little lighter than that with a little touch of yellow. But it's not like baby poop green,
about to say.
which is what I was kind of calling it. But then I was like, that's definitely not the color.
It's much nicer than that.
Yeah.
We'll post pictures.
Yeah.
So it is a sweet desk. Except for, it's like a command center, goes over his head.
It literally looks like a NASA command center of now. And the desk looks like old school NASA.
Yes, it does.
But the rest of it is definitely today. Technology of today.
Not 1970s.
I know, right? Anyway, shall we get back into the Harry Potter?
That's good. That was good. That was good. You gotta say it like Matt. Potter!
Potter! Did I do it?
You did.
Cool.
So last week we did chapters 1 and 2, Riddle House and the
Woohoo.
Scar, which are the You're Not in Kansas Anymore Toto chapters,
Right.
as I call them. Because we don't start like you usually do. Good author of a shove in the back of You're Not in a kid's book anymore. Let's go.
Yeah. And learning that Riddle basically killed his family.
Yep.
Come
Little bit.
on. Lord Voldemort.
A little bit. Okay, a lot of it. So this week, again, since this is a massive book, we're going to do a lot of 3-chapter sections.
Yep.
So this week we're doing chapters 3, 4, and 5, which are The Invitation, Back to the Burrow, and Weasley's Wizard Wheezes. Say that 5 times fast.
Right.
Weasley's Wizard Wheezes. Weasley's Wizard
I don't
Wizard
have a
Wheezes.
lot of notes.
I am hit and miss.
Yeah.
I do on the first and mostly on the first chapter.
Okay.
So chapter 3. So we start with The Invitation, where, if I can get to the right chapter, here we go on my book, just so I have it. My little summary is
Such a thick book.
too many stamps. And is Harry going to get to leave without protest for the first time ever?
I mean, there's a lot of protest. It's
Is there, though? Compared to busting down the door at the Rock, the house on the Rock.
Yeah.
Really good pizza place if you're ever in Seattle, by the way, at the Rock. And busting through the door, first book.
Uh-huh.
Second book, bars on the windows being torn off. And third book, blowing up your aunt, running away, and getting picked up by a bus.
Yeah.
This is very much
mild.
normal.
Sort of.
Kind
It's
of
more
normal.
wizard normal.
Yes.
I don't know.
Which, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Should we start with Dudley's diet?
For sure. Okay. So I'm going to preface dieting as you are beautiful, however you are, no matter what.
Preach.
There are some people that are healthy still.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it has a hormonal issue. Sometimes it is that they overeat. Sometimes they don't. Whatever it is, do not care. You're still beautiful, however you are.
Yep.
If you choose to diet, please do not ever starve yourself just so that you can lose weight. I'm sorry, but that is not the way to do it.
Get help.
Yes. If you want to lose the weight, then find out what your blood sugars are, your tests, get like a dietitian, get the blood work, whatever.
Gym membership, find a hobby,
Yep.
some sort of fun sport.
but
Walk a
don't
dog?
eat a quarter of a grapefruit and celery shards with cottage cheese. I'm sorry, but that's not enough
sounds
to sustain
awful.
anyone.
It also just sounds awful.
Yeah, for sure. But anyways, I am not a huge fan of the word diet.
No.
And I don't necessarily like, again, like it's one of those things where it's like, I get when this was written that was more the norm, like the crash diets, things like that. I get it. From when that was. Nowadays, I don't
know
think
better.
Yes. It's not as healthy. It's not as great.
Yes.
So, anyways.
There are always healthy ways to make better choices.
Yes.
But
in the sense of this book and it being kind of funny because it is Dudley, and we don't really like Dudley much, but him eating a quarter of a grapefruit.
Well, and then stealing Vernon's.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, no. Like
that doesn't work.
Yeah, no.
The one thing I will say is I will give credit to Petunia because it wasn't this is Dudley's diet. He's the only one sticking to this. She said look, our family is going to do this together. They emptied everything out of the cupboards, took away all the, air quotes here, bad food.
Yep.
And like they committed to it as a family.
Yep.
I was like, props there. Because that is extremely difficult. An easy way to fail is if one person in a family, whether it be dieting or anything, having kids, exercising, going on vacation, if one person in a couple or a family is dedicated to it and no one else is, it's not going to work.
Yeah, it makes it a lot harder for sure.
So, yeah. So I did appreciate her, like, good for them all to join in.
Yep.
Or for her and Vernon to join in with protest to set the house up for success.
Right.
Not just punish Dudley.
Yeah.
For being overweight.
Right. And I think it's cool that they are actually following the school nurses like thing. So I'm assuming that's who that is. It's the school nurse. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's funny though that Vernon doesn't notice that his grapefruit got taken away.
He was distracted.
Was he that distracted? I mean, come on. I mean, I suppose, but yeah. My very first comment though was they went from making Harry do everything to completely ignoring him though. So
I mean, they
at least
kind of ignored him in the last book too.
Yeah, but at least they gave him some grapefruit, even though if it was smaller,
the smallest quarter. I absolutely love that he wrote to Ron and Hermione. We're like, help, and they're like, we got you.
And Hagrid.
Hagrid,
also
yes, thank you.
sent him really icky food, but I mean, at least he's helping.
Yes, I thought that was fantastic.
Yep.
And the way he hoards it, and he hides it under the loose floorboard under his bed,
Yep.
which he used to hide his books in the last book.
Exactly.
The spell books. I was like,
Yep.
oh, the loose floorboard's coming back. It's kind of a fun callback.
Right? Yeah, I think I even wrote, I was like, grapefruit and cake for breakfast. Sounds yummy.
I mean,
Sort
it's
of,
calories.
maybe?
For the poor scrawny kid.
I mean, the cake, yes. But still.
Yeah, grapefruit not so much.
I mean, most women, if they're on any kind of contraception, can't have grapefruit anyways.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's a thing.
I
Most
have never been told that,
contraceptions
by
are
the
like
way.
that, yeah. Well, I wonder if that's never mind. But yeah, so yeah.
No comment.
Grapefruit.
The kids were planned.
I know. I was just making it funny. But
I can't do grapefruit anymore because I did as a kid. Is my grandfather lived in Arizona.
Okay.
And he had a grapefruit tree in his backyard and
cool.
oranges. I've never liked oranges.
Yeah.
They've never agreed with me. But he would mail us big boxes of grapefruit fresh off of his tree in the backyard.
That's cool.
And so my mom would make that for breakfast sometimes, that she'd cut a grapefruit in half and set it up like in a bowl and put just a little bit of sugar on top of it.
Yep.
And then you just use a spoon and eat it.
Yeah.
And it was so good. And now every time after, my grandfather moved and was no longer there, I tried store-bought grapefruit. I'm like, can't.
It's
not
just
the
not as
same.
good. Yeah.
I can't.
Maybe that's the kind of
dang
tree you
it.
should grow in the backyard is grapefruit tree.
You think those grow in Colorado?
I mean, why not?
I'm guessing no.
I'm growing really, really like cantaloupe that has to be very hot. And it has not been hot.
Our cantaloupe's doing okay. My pumpkins are going
Betcha.
AWOL right now. I've got a whole bunch of pumpkins starting little balls.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, we'll have some good carving this year.
Nice. Yes. Yes.
And I did have green beans and carrots, but anytime the 7-year-old sees them, they disappear.
Oh, yeah.
The snap peas and the carrots. Just the second she can yank them, and she washes them off, and then she walks around the yard.
She's such a rabbit. It
She's
makes me
such
laugh.
a bunny rabbit.
It makes me laugh.
Like, whatever, kid. It's healthy. You do you. You're pulling it. It's all organic.
Right.
Just wash it off, because we now have a male dog who lifts his leg. That's all I'm going to say. You must wash the fruit or the veggies before they go in your mouth.
Yep. Yep. For sure. Yep.
We have knickerbockers again.
Woohoo!
Now we know what those are.
Not that they make them big enough, I guess.
Apparently.
But
And fizzy drinks. He mentions, I can't remember what page, but he mentions fizzy drinks. And I was like, is that another term for soda?
I think so.
Or pop?
I mean, Knickerbockers is ice cream, remember?
Yeah, no, they're talking about these are two British terms that I heard, knickerbockers, and then in the next sentence he talks about fizzy drinks.
Is the pants.
Yeah.
Which, okay.
The school pants.
Yeah. And then
they also mentioned, like, in the next sentence, he talks about having a fizzy drink. And I was like, I'm going to guess that's like a British way of saying soda. And I don't call it pop. I call it soda.
Yeah.
You do you. If you're from Atlanta, it's Coke.
True that.
I mean, it.
Coke is cocaine and Coke is Coke. So it's all the same thing. There's a Knickerbocker liquor locker in North Dakota.
Okay, that's kind of amazing.
That is
Knickerbocker
cool.
liquor locker.
In Hickson, North Dakota.
Oh, that is in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it is.
Holy Jesus, middle of nowhere. Oh, boy.
That's so funny.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I know where that is.
I can't read. I don't have my glasses.
It's just south of Fargo.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, we lived in Grand Forks, which is north of Fargo. So, yeah, next time we're out there, we might have to check that one out.
Knickerbocker liquor locker. That's amazing. Say that one 5 times.
I know, right?
But yeah, I read fizzy drinks. I was like, soda?
Yeah, probably. Cool. I would assume so.
I would assume so.
I mean, I like the way they call it that then, if it is.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I like it.
So can we talk about the
letter?
Yes.
Yes, please. It's amazing.
I love just the way that she like babbles in this letter. Mm-hmm. Like it's just so like she's having a conversation and it's natural, but yet at the same time, like nobody believes Harry when he says that the Dursleys hate anything wizard.
So I like her intro of like, I'm sure Harry's told you all about us and his friend Ron. I was like, nope.
Well, I mean, he's mentioned them. And he tried to introduce them.
He tried
the one time, but like the Dursleys hate anything wizard. So like, but nobody believes him. Nobody believes him, and I find it funny because, like, why not believe the kid? Come on, it's like a theme throughout all of the books. Like, don't believe the kid. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes,
but yeah. All of the stamps on the envelope.
Amazing.
That is totally something I would have done as a kid.
Yes.
I would have stamped the whole thing except this little like spot of where you write to whoever you're sending it to. Yeah, that's totally something I would have done.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
All of the stamps, yes, I really hope this was enough. And then, can you please have Harry reply the quote normal way? I'm not sure the mailman even knows how to find our house. I was like, oh, you don't exist in the, right. I can't Google Maps you.
Right, exactly. Well, and what's funny is Uncle Vernon's, like, his, not really like attitude, but his temperature in level of hatred and all of that when it comes to Harry's magical whatever is very high at this point. He's just very, very angry about this letter. And then it comes down when he's like, but what does she mean by
the normal way.
And then it like spikes again. And then he asks another question, and Harry starts to talk about like the Quidditch games. Yeah. And then
what is Quidditch?
He gets like super angry again. And I'm like, don't ask the question if you don't want the answer.
Right.
Like, come on. I'm just like, come on.
He's like a curious cat. That he's curious, and then he realizes, oh, wait, no, I shouldn't be curious about that.
Right?
But I guess the postman seemed to think it was funny, and I wrote, it is.
It is. It's funny.
It's fantastic.
Yep.
But if I was the postman, like, Dursley is all concerned about, like, they're going to figure us out. Like, we're weird. It's like, no, like you said, it looks like a 5-year-old sent you a card in the mail, and it's cute.
Exactly.
There's no problem in this.
Yep.
Yeah. It is funny.
But I do like that Harry kind of like, so I think he cons Uncle Vernon into allowing him to go.
Yes.
And the only reason that he gets away with it is because he brings up Sirius. Mm-hmm. Like,
my godfather.
Yes. Like, come on.
He had said the magic words. I like the phrasing there.
Exactly.
I'm like, well written. Well written.
But it's one of those things where, like, Uncle Vernon was very, like, on the fence about letting him go and not. And then the Godfather, like, was just the extra little hammer. And I don't know that he needed it.
I think it was, like, the final nail in the coffin, because this is also when Vernon, the last thing he does is he shouts, I will not be spoken to like this.
Oh, yeah.
When Harry's giving him a bad time about only getting Dudley's hand-me-down clothes. Right. Vernon says, I will not be spoken to like this, trembling in rage. And then it's silent. He's like, okay, well, I can't go, so I'm going to go send a letter to Sirius, because I think he knows he's on the out. So this is kind of his Hail Mary pass of...
Such manipulation.
Can I name drop somebody who you're terrified of for literally no reason? And it works.
I mean, Dudley's also terrified, so...
Well, rightfully so. We'll get there in a minute.
I mean, don't we, at the end of that chapter, like, watch Dudley, like...
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Keep going. Keep going.
I put that I love the Weasleys.
Yes.
Because I'm like, dude, I love the fact that they were able to get these sweet, sweet tickets, and they're asking Harry to go with. And then at the same time, like... Poor Hedwig, like she has to deal with this weird owl that's like Pig. Bouncing all over the place.
We'll get to Pig.
Yeah.
And that's what I love the Weasleys also, and I love Molly. We'll get a lot into Molly in this book.
Oh, cool.
But the way Vernon, when he explains, by the way, when Harry says you've run into them getting off the Hogwarts Express.
Oh yeah.
And Vernon says, dumpy sort of woman, loads of children, red hair. I was like, first of all, Molly Weasley is not dumpy.
No.
You shut your mouth.
Yep.
She is a saint. Loads of children. Yes?
Yeah.
You say that like it's a bad thing?
Well, they only have one. So, I mean, and in reality...
So clearly he's judging as like, probably this person can't afford to have this many kids.
Right. And you got to think too, even in the 90s, like...
7 kids is a lot.
7 kids is a lot, because most of the time, if you were of higher station, you only had 1 or 2. And so if you were of lower station, you typically had more.
Loads of kids.
So yeah, there's that balance too.
Yeah. So he talks about loads of children being a bad thing and red hair being a bad thing. I was like, you have no say in that.
Well, you got to think the Britons don't like Ireland and Scotland, so... Which is where the red hair typically comes from.
That is where the Irish comes from. Yeah. But I was like, you stop speaking ill of Weasleys, especially Molly. Don't call her dumpy.
Right. Exactly. I mean, I just love the fact that the Weasleys are just so, like, they're so eccentric, and they just don't give a crap. They don't care. They're like, whatever. I'm going to be who I am. Whatever.
Yes. And we're going to talk about Arthur's friends at work in a minute.
Woohoo.
I like that in Ron's letter and in Harry's reply, both said the Muggles.
The Muggles.
Like, Ron, it's okay. The Muggles say I can come, is how Harry replied.
Right.
I'm like, until now, he's always been the one, because we pointed that out in the second book or the third. It may have been the third. That both Ron and Hagrid, when they sent letters, called them the Muggles. Hermione said your aunt and uncle.
Right, yeah.
And Harry always replied, my aunt and uncle, to all of the letters.
To all of them, yep.
Now he's calling them the Muggles.
Yeah.
He is disassociated.
He's just so over it, I think.
Yes.
He's just done.
He's over it.
Like, he doesn't want to just, like, he just doesn't want to be a part of it anymore.
Nope.
And you can't blame him.
And now he's got the white flag of surrender of Sirius Black.
Yep. Get away with murder with that one.
Use it.
But I think it's also interesting when at the very end of the chapter, he talks about the fact that, like, he's leaving, he's going away, like, nothing is
Don't stop
like
me now.
Yeah, exactly. He is so happy that nothing bothers him, even Lord Voldemort's.
Yes.
And I was like, ooh, okay.
Not even Lord V can rain on this parade. He is.
Right.
He is done. He's out.
Right?
Deuces.
Do you think he's like a duke or just a lord or like a viscount or a like...
I think he rearranged the letters of his name and came up with Lord Voldemort.
I'm just kidding. With the
Just
British.
Marvello.
lords.
Yes. Is he knighted?
Right?
Knight Voldemort. All right. So chapter 4, back to the burrow.
Ooh, yes.
This is a pretty short chapter.
Yes, it is.
My
I only have,
summary,
like, 5 comments.
his blocked fireplace, clumsy twins,
Yep.
chaos and freedom. It's like the extent of the chapter.
Chaos and freedom is like so his like the twins and then Harry. It's just exactly like the perfect way of saying that.
That's how every book ends, with chaos and freedom. Although not really, because he goes back to the Dursleys at the end of every
Right?
book.
Exactly.
So
No
chaos,
freedom yet.
I'm alive, and then lockdown.
Yeah. Well, sort of lockdown now.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I wrote the Dursleys are so nervous about Harry's pickup. Like
They're
they
and they're worried about
so-
different things.
Yes. Which I find funny.
Dudley's just afraid and grabbing his butt.
He doesn't want to become a pick again.
Can't blame him.
Nope.
Dursley. Vernon is so worried about how they dress. I
Yeah.
hope they dress properly.
What kind of car are they going to drive?
What kind of car are they driving here? He's like,
How are they going to get here?
Good question.
Yeah, exactly.
And Petunia just like can't stop cleaning.
No.
Which in fairness is me, but
And she's not eating too.
yeah,
So she's super anxious.
she's just like, what's gonna happen?
Yep.
Because she knows more about the wizarding world than
Yep.
Vernon does.
Yep.
So she's just anxious.
Yep. And she doesn't like letting on that she knows more.
No, because she knows it's her family, and I think if credit to Vernon, I think if he was any less of a husband, I think he would have left her over this whole thing,
Probably.
over
Yeah.
Harry and the whole magical business.
Yeah.
And he could have been like, "This is your bloodline, deuces."
Yeah. I could see that with him.
I'm actually a little surprised he stuck around that. I'm thinking all this through out loud.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of one of those like maybe she just has played it off so much where like she really hates it. She really, really just doesn't agree. Her sister was evil or whatever. And so like
And I mean,
he
she agreed to
kinda-
locking him under the staircase for 11 years.
Right.
10 years.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
Like she
she's
agrees to
not
all of
great.
this mal care, I'll to call it.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll get more into that later. But yeah, it is a little bit surprising with how much Vernon hates us that he didn't peace out at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
He really loves her. Credit.
Hopefully.
And his son.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hello again to flu powder.
Okay. So so when they're talking, go back and tell whichever one, Fred or George,
That's way
to
back
not
up.
come. Tell Ron not to come. Ouch. Like, come on. I just like the fact that they just keep coming tumbling into the fireplace. And I'm like, how big is this fireplace? Because we had one when we lived in Tennessee in our house. And our fireplace, you couldn't fit more than one body in there.
But like upright, stacked on top of each other, up your chimney.
Oh,
Yeah, they're like
see,
standing on top of each other.
I was imagining all of them in the
Like
thing.
feet on the ground?
Yeah, because he says something about, I think it's George, who sounds muffled with his face up against a brick.
I mean, that too,
So
yeah.
that's why I'm kind of like, oh, so they're like all standing in there. I'm like, how big is this freaking fireplace? Why
I
did
think
they
they're kind
shut
of
it?
stacked up
Is it still shut from when the envelopes were coming in the first book?
Uh-huh.
Is that the reason they have an electric
I'm
one?
trying to remember if that's a movieism that they come in through the fireplace or not, or if they actually come in through the fireplace in the book too. I'm going to have to think about that.
I mean,
Because they do in the movie. Do they in the book as well?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do.
So
I
yeah,
thought
so
they
he
were
would have
coming in
boarded it up.
through the
Like the
front
cracks
door.
in the windows
Yeah, cracks in
and
the windows everywhere.
The
It's-
eggs.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they were
I think they
coming
were.
through the fireplace. So is that when it was boarded up?
Probably, although Harry does say the fireplace has been blocked. You won't be able to get through. And Harry said they have an electric fireplace.
Right.
And I love Mr. Weasley. Really? He said excitingly. Electric, you say, with the plug? Gracious, I must see that.
I
Ouch,
know.
run.
Right.
Like, I love his excitement immediately about this electric
Right.
fireplace.
Right.
With a plug?
Is electric spelled differently for you? Like when
Oh,
he
yeah.
talks about electricity,
Electric. So it is spelled wrong. So he's saying it wrong.
electric.
Yeah, you're right.
Eclectic.
ECLECTIC.
Yeah.
Eclectic.
Yeah. And then when he talks about it and the next page when they actually do get out of the fireplace, after he blows it all up, and he talks about the TV and he's like eyeing all that stuff, and he talks about the electricity.
Does he say it wrong again?
Yeah,
That's
he
really
says
funny.
it's super weird too. Because I had to keep repeating it to myself because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, is that just spelled incorrectly or is that
No.
being said incorrectly? I was just like really confused.
Eclectricity.
Yeah.
ECKEL.
Yeah.
Eclec.
Yeah.
It's like it's eclectic.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay. That is how it's spelled. Okay. But yeah.
And then I like Ron's voice joined. What are we doing here? Something go wrong? Oh no, Ron, came Fred's voice sarcastically. This is exactly where we wanted to end up.
I mean, you
Thank you,
did
Fred.
want to be in that fireplace. So nothing went wrong. You just didn't know it was closed.
Yep.
And wouldn't Harry have thought about asking, hey, how are you going to arrive?
You would think. Although he
Like-
was so excited.
Yeah. I mean,
And he has a crazy owl buzzing around his room.
that is true.
I think he just was in like, oh, I got to pack. They're going to be here tomorrow and doesn't
Right.
think about it. And then
Yeah.
it wasn't until Vernon starts asking. And he's like, huh.
Yeah, I should probably have asked that question.
Good question, since I'm the one who totaled his car.
Right. Well, it went
It went rogue.
rogue. Yeah. It went feral.
It's one with the spiders now.
Right. So they are in the fireplace and then he explodes it. Like literally explodes the fireplace. Why didn't he apparate all of them?
That is a good question.
Like why explode the fireplace?
Yeah.
Like
So part of it is I think I've alluded to before that we don't really find out except with apparition for later.
right.
You can only
We don't
apparate to
know.
places you've seen,
Okay. Yep.
that you've physically been to.
Okay.
So since he's never been there, he can't apparate into the
apparate
living
into
room
it.
because you
Okay.
can end up in the middle of a post.
Right. Okay. Makes sense.
So that's
Okay.
that's why. But yeah, you would think that there'd be a better one.
Right. Then pushing it all out. That's crazy. Yeah.
Blowing up the living room.
And the fact that Harry, so this is so well written that I could imagine all of this in my head
Yes.
as it was like happening on the page. I was like, oh, I can totally see this all happening. And Uncle Vernon turning 30 years older and Aunt Petunia hiding behind him and Dudley like,
Grabbing his butt.
yes,
running for the kitchen.
Yeah. Like, oh my goodness.
But this is where we get the next quote unquote useful contact at the flu regulation panel. That's
Right.
how he added their fireplace to the flu network and all
Right.
that. So this is the second like really useful Mr. Weasley connection we've had in
Yep.
2 chapters or same chapter? 2 chapters. And so I'm kind of like, I think this shows how incredibly personable and kind
Yeah.
Mr. Weasley is.
For sure.
That people are willing to go out of their way to help him.
Yep, for
People
sure.
are willing to, yeah, man, like we'll get you the World Cup tickets because it's really freaking expensive. And yes, you can't afford to take all of your,
Right.
13 members of your family or whatever.
Right.
Like, no, that's not a thing. And then, he's got somebody he can go and ask a Neville and say, hey, I gotta go pick up Harry Potter. Like, can you help me out? Like the person's like, sure. Like,
Right.
if Lucius Malfoy asked for that stuff,
No.
hell no.
Yeah, exactly.
People do it out of fear.
Probably.
But, Arthur isn't threatening anybody with this.
No.
He's just asking.
Yep.
He's such a little, like, I don't know, kitty cat. Like, he's just so friendly and fluffy.
Yeah. Extroverted.
Yeah, he's got all these, like, he's clearly just the kind person at work.
Yeah, he's got friends. He is definitely well known. And you can tell that he is liked by people.
Yeah.
Especially with something that is not allowed to happen. Like Harry Potter's muggle fireplace is not allowed to happen. But people did it anyways.
Yeah.
Which I think is cool.
Here's a 24-hour, waiver.
Yep, exactly.
Which is awesome.
Yep.
And then when they say goodbye.
Well, so before they say the goodbyes and stuff,
Yes.
the twins are hoping to find Dudley. So they leave to go get the trunk. Now, here's a question, because nothing more than the trunk is ever mentioned to be coming out of his room. So where is Hedwig's,
That's a good question.
thing, and where's the firebolt?
I guess I assume the firebolt fit in the trunk.
Okay.
Possible. Hedwig, obviously not.
I mean, in the movies, they don't.
Yeah.
So in the movies, they're always on top of the trunk. So nothing but the trunk is mentioned to be leaving the room. So I'm curious where Hedwig's, birdcage.
Yeah. They kind of play loose and fast with the birdcage.
Right.
Because when Harry writes back to Ron, tells Hedwig just to stay there and I'll see you there.
Well, he sends him to go he sends her to go and give a letter to Sirius, and then
that's right. And then says, meet me at the at the burrow.
Yep.
Yeah. So Hedwig's not there. So I guess in theory, maybe he could cram the cage in his trunk too.
Maybe. I just
Not
found
likely?
it interesting that was
Yeah, it's a good point.
overlooked, I guess.
Like I said, they play kind of fast and loose with the cage because, especially in the third movie, he clearly left it behind.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it's back again.
Right. Yeah.
That happens a few times.
Yeah. Okay.
Things just kind of randomly get back to him. And I'm like,
Yeah. But then...
hey, Hedwig, go fetch your cage and come back.
Right. Hopefully your window is open,
Just peck your way through the door. It's fine.
There you
Go through the fireplace. It's open now.
Well, and then so the twins find Dudley. Yeah, Fred and so Dudley comes back into the room because he hears the twins leave and are going upstairs. And so that scares him. So he comes in with his parents. Cool. Okay. Now the twins get to see him like they were hoping. And everybody, gets to meet each other or whatever. The fact that at the very beginning, too, Mr. Weasley tries to say hi and introduce himself. And Vernon is like, I'm not touching that, which I don't understand. But then after that, we've got them going to get the trunk. They come back. Then Mr. Weasley decides to make the fire again so that the twins can leave and Ron and everybody else can leave. Okay, cool. Twins leave one after the other. What I didn't understand though is why didn't they have the trunk go first with the first twin to help move the trunk?
I don't know.
Why? I just thought it was a weird order.
But first we have Fred dropping stuff all over the ground.
Fred dropped
and
his
their
toffee.
faces cracked into identical evil grins.
Yep. I love the toffee.
Yeah. We're going to keep going on that.
Yep. But then, okay, so now the twins are gone. And
now Harry goes to say goodbye.
Leaves.
Yep.
Ron is gone. Harry goes to say, or no, Harry doesn't even say goodbye. He just starts to go. because
No.
does he say goodbye?
Yeah. Harry says to the Dursleys, well, bye then. And they didn't say anything at all.
Okay.
Then he moved towards the fireplace, and Mr. Weasley puts his hand on him and stops him.
Okay.
And he's looking at the Dursleys in amazement.
Right.
Just like maybe now
you're
you
not
get it.
going to see that, like, see your nephew for an entire school year. Mm-hmm. Like,
but I like how he calls him on the spot.
Yep, for sure.
It's like, hello.
Yeah.
Like, freaking hello.
But then Vernon sees the wand and thinks that Mr. Weasley's going to do something with his wand, which we know he would never do.
He would never.
But Vernon doesn't know that. So
I like this. The idea of being taught consideration by a man who had just blasted away half his living room seemed to be causing him intense suffering. It's like, that's amazing. It's a great description.
Right.
And then we have craziness because all of a sudden Dudley has a 4-foot purple tongue.
You had to know that he was going to go after the toffee. You had
Fred did.
I mean, how did Fred know it, though? Well, except for the fact that he loves his sweets and stuff like that.
They knew he was on a diet.
Oh, that's right. They do. That's funny. Yeah. And they have been waiting all summer to play this trick on someone. Who better than Dudley?
So that takes us very nicely to Weasley's Wizard Wheezes.
Well, sort of. I mean, yeah.
It does.
Well, but then before that, we've got Harry he takes off and Harry's
gone.
Like, he didn't want to leave. He didn't want to miss the fun. He goes, Harry didn't want to miss the fun. I put poor Mr. Weasley.
Yeah. Now trying to deal with this.
Yeah.
With his wand out and the Dursleys.
Uncle Vernon is like throwing all these like random things
and bellowing like a
there
wounded hippo. It's a great description.
Well, the fact that earlier he talks about how Aunt Petunia keeps looking out the curtains like there's a herd of rhinoceros on the loose or something like that. I was like, that's funny. And then now we've got wounded hippos. I was like, oh, okay, somebody just went on a safari.
All right. Weasley's Wizard Wheezes. Chapter 5. My summary is, oi, Fred. Oi, Molly. And oi, Percy. We just kind of go through the Weasleys.
Yeah.
So let's start with our oi, Fred.
I love him. I'm sorry, but I do. I think it's hilarious. And not only that, but I could totally see my little brother doing shit like this. So it's one of those things where, like, he loved to play tricks on people, or he still does. He loves to play tricks on people. And, like, Fred and George are exactly the same way. Mm-hmm. They want to have fun. They don't want to feel like they're boring and stuffy. They want to have fun.
Yeah, you're not helping international relations here, though.
No,
shall we call it? And also, it was a test.
True.
They had no idea what was going to happen.
That is true.
They could have killed the kid. Very easily.
Maybe.
Very easily.
Especially since he's a muggle.
Well, and also since his tongue is now, he's choking on it when he's leaving. Like he's not breathing.
If Petunia would have left it alone, he wouldn't have been choking on it.
Potentially.
Maybe.
Potentially.
We don't know.
But if Mr. Weasley had gone first.
True.
Then he would have
I
helped
doubt
him.
he would have ever gone first.
I'm just saying, what if?
Yeah. Would you literally leave anyone other than your... Like, he has to fix the fireplace, too.
That's true.
So he would have never gone first.
Fred doesn't know that when he drops them on the floor. When he takes them with him and puts them in his pocket with his plan.
True.
He doesn't know any of that.
He doesn't know. But I love the fact that they invented some kind of candy. And they are inventing things, which is science.
Yes.
And you love science.
Yes. No, I
and
love...
using your brain for some good, maybe?
Which is kind of my... I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here to my oi, Molly, is her lack of, shall I say, encouragement over what they want to do. Now, that being said, we have no idea what the last year has looked like.
Right.
How many times have they tested crap on innocent people without their
Right.
knowledge, without their consent, blah, blah. Maybe she's been dealing with this all summer and this was kind of the final straw.
Right.
Like we could see her at a year's worth of breaking point.
True. Maybe.
So we don't know.
Yeah.
But again, where we come into this story, it's she's coming down extremely hard on them
Right.
for they got a good number of owls. They should get a safe job and go work at the ministry.
They
And
didn't
da-da-da.
get enough owls.
They didn't get as many as Percy, but they still got OWLs. Like they still
Yeah.
got good marks.
Okay. See, and I read that as they didn't get good enough owls
Because they didn't match up to Percy.
Yeah. Well, you can't do that to kids. Like you
I
can't.
know. Yes.
Yeah.
Peace. Yes.
But like, yeah, it's one of those things where I'm just like, okay, I understand where she's coming from, but sometimes you also have to let your kid do what they have a passion for and not what
Yes.
you have a passion
And
for.
I think two things are happening here. One is I think she's scared
Yeah.
because she knows even with a good job at the ministry, like they have struggled
Yep.
financially.
Yep.
And so I think this is a case of a mother wanting what's best for her kids and maybe going a little bit too far.
Yeah.
Like your kids are going to make mistakes. You just got to let them. And
Yep.
it freaking sucks to watch that.
Right.
And I mean, we're still in little mistakes right now with our kids of like, you
Yep.
didn't listen to me, so you fell off your bike.
Yeah.
Like you didn't turn when I told you to. Like we're still in little mistakes right now. These
Right.
aren't life altering mistakes. But it's like, it's so hard to sit back and watch your kids fail.
Yep.
And so I think she's terrified for their future. And secondly, I think she's terrified they're going to get in trouble with the law for doing this with muggles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is-
And I can see that part,
Or
like
she's
being
they're going
afraid.
to blow up part of their house.
I mean, they'll just put it back together, right?
Right? It'll just look cooler.
Yeah, exactly. I can see her being afraid of that part, like being against the law and everything. I think the part that, like, I could see them owning a joke store. Like, I really could, because that's something that they enjoy.
And that's clearly kind of the direction that they are planning and they
Right,
they are heading.
But I think at the same time, sometimes you have to allow your kids to make those mistakes,
Yep.
even when they are really horrible and really hard.
Now, the one other part of this that we haven't gotten too much into the last Wizarding War yet,
Right.
that we will learn more about, but Molly in the last Wizarding War lost family. She lost brothers.
Okay.
And I think with Harry and everything with Voldemort and all this stuff that's happening, I think she sees the writing on the wall for the next one.
Oh.
And I think she's
worried
starting
about
to get that
George and
anxiety
Fred.
of all of her kids.
Right.
2 are in, and they're spread across 3 different countries right now.
Right.
And it's, if you're doing joke stuff, if you're not practicing magic, if you're not working for Gringotts, if you're not doing something, for lack of a better term, useful,
Yeah, to help yourself.
then you could be in trouble.
True.
And so I think she's basically the equivalent of she has lived through World War I and she sees World War II
Coming.
like on the horizon.
Yeah.
Is like, I've got to teach my kids. I only have so many years
Right.
to teach my kids everything I can before shit hits the fan.
Right. Yeah.
And so there's a lot of fear happening in Molly. Again, absolutely do not endorse her being like, you guys suck, go work at the ministry. Stop
Right.
what you're doing. Throw everything away. Like, that's
Right.
not cool. We should be a little bit more encouraging of this.
Yes, for sure.
Hence my, oi, Molly.
So,
But this is also so human. She's
Right.
written so real.
So with that, like with that part, I was like, okay, I like how Mr. Weasley is like, I'm very angry with them. I was yelling at them. I threatened to tell their mother.
Tell Molly.
But then as soon as Molly goes, what were you going to tell me? And he goes, oh, nothing. I already spoke to them. Like, oh,
He had
everything's
no
good.
intention of
Like,
telling her.
No, like he was totally backpedaling. And so I was like, the trends are in so much trouble. Mr. Weasley wasn't actually going to say something, but they are dead meat.
Yes.
They
are.
are completely dead meat. And I'm actually surprised that they weren't told to go pick the gnomes out of the yard again or something. because I just think that's funny.
It's true. It's
before
true.
we get to the Molly part, we finally get to meet Bill and Charlie.
We finally meet Bill and Charlie.
Yes, which I think is awesome.
It's fantastic.
And we get to, learn about the fact that the twins, made this thing or whatever, this candy or whatever. But like Bill and Charlie are very different than what I imagined them to be. Mm-hmm. But then at the same time, I'm kind of like, oh, okay, like
I
it
can
kind
see
of
it.
makes sense. Yes.
Yeah. It's, I think first time I read, I think I pictured more of like a Ron character. Mm-hmm. But then when they're described, I'm like, oh no, I get it. I get it.
Yeah. It makes more sense. But yeah, so then we jump back into after Molly, they finally, like, Molly is angrily cooking, which
That's
I
dangerous.
wish I could angry cook the way she is.
I don't know, knives flying magically across the kitchen sounds dangerous.
I need a potato peeler. I was like, I need a magical potato peeling thing. I was like, that is so cool.
Right out the skins.
I love potatoes, and I'm like, can I have something like that, please?
Yes,
Like,
I'm with
how
you.
cool.
All the magic with cooking. I don't cook at all.
Yeah.
So like, all the magical cooking. Yes. Bring it on. Bring it on.
And then Hermione and Ginny like convincing the Harry and Ron to go see where they're sleeping and stuff like that, so the Molly can yell. So all four of the boys are in the same room.
Uh-huh.
That
Cozy.
is gonna be dangerous.
Cozy.
Very cozy, but very dangerous at the same time.
Yes.
But Percy gets to sleep on his own. Like,
I mean, in
really?
fairness, he's actually living out in like the real world. Good God. Real world now. There we go. That like, I don't know, maybe it's more of like, this is his quote apartment until he can get a place of his own kind of thing. Like maybe he's paying them, maybe he's not. Maybe it's like a short-term agreement and like he has work to do.
Leave him alone.
I like his work from home does not work for Percy because he gets distracted too easily.
And how do you pronounce his boss's name?
Who is it?
Is it Crouch?
Oh, yeah.
Crouch.
Yeah,
Okay.
like you crouch on the floor.
So I wrote Percy and Mr. Crouch sitting in a tree. KISSING. Because they talk about waiting for them to get engaged. I think the engagement announcement's going out tomorrow or something like that.
Yes. That's
I just
funny.
was like, oh yeah, that's funny.
Yes,
That's
Mr.
awesome.
Crouch. Everything according to Mr. Crouch.
Right.
All right. I did my Google thing for the night, my research thing. Pigwidgeon.
Okay.
Pigwidgeon. Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. Means smaller, petty, and insignificant. An insignificant person or creature.
Weird.
It is considered a rare and archaic term in modern English.
Interesting. Okay.
So
I get that it's a small owl.
but it's not insignificant.
Insignificant. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. But it's also Ginny named him
Yeah.
in the 90s. And this is already an archaic term. So she probably just thought it was cute.
Pigwidgeon.
Pigwidgeon, yeah.
I thought it was a name for a species of pigeon. And then I was confused because it's an owl.
It's an owl.
That's where my brain went.
Now you're just confused because it's not insignificant.
I know, right? But yeah. Go ahead, yeah.
I'm jumping to page 61.
Go for it.
Bertha Jorkins.
Oh, yeah. So real quick, I just wanted to make one comment.
Yep.
So the dinner table is super full with people and food.
Love it.
And that is amazing.
Love it.
Like, that's the best way to have, like, family gatherings. Just like,
especially outside.
yeah. And the fact that the boys were, like, making the tables fight first was amazing.
Jousting.
Yes,
Jousting with the
exactly.
tables.
But I loved that, just that sense of family and the way that you look around the table and these people are talking, and like these people are angry with each other or whatever. Like it's
homey.
Yeah, it's so nice. And
Even with Percy bellowing out the window, would you keep it down?
Right.
Sorry, Percy, said Bill, grinning.
Yeah.
How's the cauldron's bottoms coming on?
Let's just ask him. Yeah. But yeah, I just was like, oh, I really like this. It's nice. It's like families should be. And
well, and opposite of the Dursleys, which is so sterile and boring.
Yeah.
Like, it's exciting here. Even if Percy's yelling out of a window and there's
Yep.
tables clashing up against each other and legs falling off.
or
Like,
knives flying through the air.
knives flying through the kitchen and little owls everywhere. Like,
Yep.
it's alive.
Yep.
Which is like so opposite of the Dursleys.
Yeah, exactly.
It's impressive Harry hasn't put on a lot of weight laying around in his room for 3 years.
Right. Well, he barely gets to eat anything. Remember?
fair.
Like, he barely gets to eat
Well, he's been living off
anything.
of cake this summer.
This summer, yes.
And lounging around his room.
Yes.
Although
Okay.
Percy does go outside to the garden.
Yeah.
Because that's when he sees Dobby in the bush last book 2.
Right. Okay. Bertha Jorkins.
Yeah. So Percy's the one who brings it up. So we learn a few things here. We learn Bertha Jorkins, Bertha, has been missing for over a month.
Yep.
Went on holiday in Albania and never came back. And obviously we know what happened to her
Yes.
from the first chapter. We know.
Well, we know that she's been killed.
She
We don't
did.
know what happened
Fair.
exactly.
We don't know how she did, but she
I'm
did.
assuming the snake, but we don't know that for sure.
If the snake didn't kill her, the snake had an appetizer.
Right?
Before feeding Voldemort. Again, let's not overthink that one. But then Percy's all, Bertha's hopeless. I hear she's been shunted from department to department for years. So she
Right.
wasn't high in the ministry. So it's a little interesting. Why, Voldemort, why her? Like, what was the point there?
If you go to that many departments, you know a lot of little things.
That's fair.
And sometimes those a lot of little things can add up to a really big thing.
for
Yep.
somebody else.
Yep. So
So we know she works for the ministry.
we do.
Worked
Yep.
for the ministry. Yeah, we know
Which
she
we
did.
assumed in the first chapter.
Yeah, you draw that assumption. This confirms it. Does it actually say which department she's actually in?
She's under the guy, under Mr.
Mr. Crouch.
Bagman.
Department of Magical Games and Sports.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And he talks badly about Arthur's friends.
Uh-huh.
And he's only been working how long for this group of people?
He is not going to get the same
He has a very
favors
big
his
head.
father does.
He has a very big head.
And then he hints we've got another big event to organize after the World Cup that's top secret.
Right.
How important do you think you are?
Right.
Because even Arthur's like, oh, shut up.
Right.
You know the one I'm talking
They want
about, father.
everybody to ask him. Like,
I can't tell you.
right. Exactly. Exactly.
Again, it's such a big brother thing.
It is. But Bertha Jorkins is known to get lost. Which I found interesting because Percy is complaining about the fact that she goes from department to department. She's not worth it. Whatever. They have this big job going on, and yet nobody's out there really looking for him. And now his boss feels like he needs to go out and look for her, even though we've got the Quidditch thing going on. Whatever. But yet she gets lost easily. So, like, her boss is just assuming that's what's happening. His boss is like, well, maybe we should be looking for her. And everybody else is just like kind of a split down the middle. Is that essentially what it is?
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
Or not close enough to have an opinion.
Right. Crookshanks is going to sleep well. Chasing all the gnomes.
Chasing all the gnomes.
Yep.
Sleepy kitty. Aww.
And then I wrote, poor Percy, because everyone is so mean to him. But at the same time, he kind of brings it onto himself. And he has a really big head that needs to be a little smaller.
And this, okay. Yeah. And this, this prank that the twins pulled of like sending the fertilizer from Norway. And he says it was nothing personal. Like, that's funny. You didn't almost kill a muggle.
No.
That's
but they
funny.
did put it in his drink. Like, isn't that
Did
where?
they?
Yeah.
No.
Isn't that what it says, that they put it in his drink?
I should think about my intro. Be like, No, they put it in his work tray, like his inbox.
Oh. See,
Yeah, my in tray would be if I was away for 5 days, and then Fred says, yeah, someone might slip dragon dung into it again. And he said, that was a sample of fertilizer from Norway, said Percy, going red. It was nothing personal. It was, Fred whispered to Harry. We sent it.
That's right. That's right.
Like, that's a great prank.
Yes.
Don't test things on innocent muggles.
I mean,
Bully
he's not
muggles.
innocent.
Bully muggles.
And
But you just bullied the bully.
Call that out.
You just bullied a bully. Still not okay.
Sort of. They tricked him.
You just traumatized a bully.
Who cares?
I'm all for the Percy prank. I'm not for the Dudley. That's not cool. Okay. The last World Cup went for 5 days.
I was just about to say the same thing. I was like, could you imagine a soccer game doing that?
Oh, God, no. But also, how do you put in for leave from work?
I think everybody just realizes that that's what it's going to be. I mean, if you're going to any Quidditch game, you have to be willing to be like that. So
is that just... You tell your boss I'll be back in 1 to 8 days?
Or you go and then you leave and then you go and you leave and that kind of thing.
I don't know. Do you sleep? Because they have to sub the players because the game never stops.
I mean, you can apparate.
So they can sleep.
To literally everywhere.
But do you sleep?
Yeah.
And then just pray the game doesn't end in that time? The snitch isn't caught while you're gone?
Well, you just sleep on the bleachers. Like, what else are you going to do?
Yeah, okay.
I don't know. I have no idea.
I have no idea either.
But I wrote, I was like, could you imagine that being a soccer game?
No.
5 days.
I couldn't do it.
5 full days.
I couldn't do it.
I know. How many people would be hurt in that many days as a soccer game?
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways. All right. So next week, we're also going to do 3 chapters, which will be 6, 7, and 8.
Okay.
And chapter 6 is the port key. 7 is...
The port key?
The port key.
Okay.
It's one word.
Okay.
7 is Bagman and Crouch.
Okay.
And 8 is the Quidditch World Cup.
Woohoo.
We're finally there.
Yeah.
And I've mentioned it before, but I'll say port key is...
Yes.
I have mentioned that would be a fun license plate. Because
Yeah.
it's a way of travel in the magical world.
Oh, that is funny. Okay.
I think that would be funny.
That would be cool.
To have a car license plate be port key.
I keep thinking it's like...
You're trying to make it 2 words, I think.
Either that or I'm thinking it's Spanish. And it's like, porque.
Porque?
But like,
Hola,
I
¿cómo
know
estás?
it's not. It's just like, I don't know. In my brain, it's like all muggled.
You muggle.
Yeah. And with that, we'll leave you for the next time. See ya.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for joining us for this episode. If you had fun, please follow, download, and review this podcast on your preferred listening platform.
If you're ready for the next chapter, join the spoiler-free conversation on our Facebook group. Search You Haven't Read What? The podcast.
Or on Instagram and YouTube for exclusive videos and behind-the-scenes content. Have a great week.
And we'll catch you on the next page.